Let's delve into this then. Let's start on the Sun on Sunday. It focuses on Arsenal. We can have a look at that headline again. Victory, but Gyökeres double, Kid Max's debut, and Eze bow marred by Saka and Odegaard KOs. John, let's start with you. You obviously follow Arsenal all the time. We'll focus on their injuries in just a moment, but just on their performance itself. Last week, there was talk of, well, it was a lot of grit. They weren't the better team against Manchester United, but they grinded out that result. Did we see more of what we expect to see from Arsenal this season yesterday?
I think we definitely did in the second half. I thought first half, actually, I thought it was quite sluggish and a bit slow. And until Bukayo Saka scores that second goal, I think that's when it gave Arsenal lift-off. I do think that they were looking for a spark somewhere. You know, Gyokeres is kind of on many back pages, isn't he? And sort of the back page is almost torn over what's the story. Is it Down? Is it Eze before the game? You know, there's so much going on at Arsenal now. They've got now a couple of really significant injuries with, you know, Saka and Odegaard both going off hurt, and then Down coming on. So there's loads going on with Arsenal. But I think the mood completely changed in that second half when they looked a lot more fluid, they looked a lot pacier, brighter, sharper, and the mood in the stadium, you could really feel it. You know, I'm just watching from at home, but basically absolutely fantastic performance, and it came through your TV set that it was really buzzing and alive, and that's what Arsenal were looking for. But in that first half, I thought they did look in need of a spark, and I think Nweri came on, played well. Downman's given the team such a lift in that second half, and I thought then by the end you felt, OK, now we're seeing what Arsenal are trying to be about this season, with a bit more speed, a bit more pace. Gyökeres has found his kind of rhythm, scored a couple of goals by the end, so that's 2-2 by the way. And then basically that's what they're all about, basically. So I think the end product was really good, but it took them a little while to get there.
Little while to get there, but all the back pages are focusing on Gyökeres, Mark. He needs that, doesn't he? He needs to get on the score sheet early, because there was quite a bit of criticism on Gyökeres for his performance at Old Trafford last week.
Yeah, he was poor last week. I thought he looked a little bit limited at times. You know, didn't look fit. He looked like he's had a disruptive pre-season, which he has, hasn't he? So he looked like he was a bit off the pace, but obviously first home game, promoted team at home. If you're a centre forward, you know you need a goal to get your kind of confidence up and running. And he scored the goal. It was a good goal as well. I mean, he made it work for himself. He got it on the far side, cut inside. It was a bit of a scruffy finish in the end, but he got a goal that he made himself. So it wasn't just a penalty. So 2 goals in your home debut. It's a good start. I think we all kind of agree that he might not be the most. You know, he lacks a bit of finesse, but he will make a difference to Arsenal. But obviously next week, you know, they got a Liverpool next week. Kai Havertz probably out, so Gyökeres will have to prove it against the top team in the country. So, but for now, his confidence is up. 2 good goals, certainly 1 good goal and a penalty. So I think he'll be happy with that, and I think it gives him the confidence to avoid that situation whereby he hasn't scored a goal, He's done that now.
Yeah, and if you look at this Sunday Telegraph, Jonathan, Gunner's 5-star show, Gyökeres at the double as Arsenal go top. It's a very embryonic Premier League table, of course, but getting one over Spurs, I suppose, after they'd gone top earlier on in the day, can't hurt the Arsenal fans. But big reasons to be optimistic, would you say, for this season?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I was at the game, and as we've been saying, there were so many different things happening, so many different emotions, I think, for Arsenal fans. You know, started with the high of Eze being paraded on the pitch, and that lifted the crowd. He's got the kind of the X factor, I think, that Arsenal traditionally want to see in the stadium. So that got the mood sort of bouncing. There's a big sort of pre-match hype from the announcer that it's time to move to the next level. And then, as Crossy says, for half an hour the performance wasn't really next level. It was quite plodding. It was a bit of a struggle. There was a little bit of unrest in the stadium. Fans asking for the ball to go forward a bit quicker. Set piece changed things. Saka's goal just before half-time was a big point. But I think the real optimism then came from Gyökeres, as we've been saying, with that fantastic goal that he scored a lot of in Portugal, and that's why he's there. And then it just ramped up again when Max Daumann came on and just lit up the place with his... I mean, he's just such a natural at 15, just a natural sort of talent, and I think he put everyone's mood up. The Saka injuries will be a huge concern, and the Odegaard injury. But but Arteta was so determined to keep the mood high in his press conference afterwards. And you get the sense of Arsenal, they know it's their year, it has to be their year, and it's about starting well and almost keeping building a momentum of optimism and trying to stay really positive.
I think it's really noticeable, isn't it, that basically last season, if last season happens and basically they had 2 injuries like that with Odegaard and Saka, that's it. Basically, the title challenge is over before the end of August. And let's be honest, both of those players missing significant period of time curtailed Arsenal pushing Liverpool hard in the title race. This time, I'm at Arteta's press conference on Friday, and people like me are asking him, well, have you got too many players? Are people going to be knocking on the door? Well, the fact of the matter is then that he came back with a really strong answer, Arteta, basically saying, well, actually, our squad was nowhere near good enough, our direct rivals last season. We didn't have the depth, and he's right. If you looked at it, and basically there's so many times half the bench was filled with kids who were really not going to make an impact first team wise. But yesterday you had Nweri came on, and I thought he was excellent, really made a positive impression. I thought Madueke, who starts on the left, couldn't get into the game, goes to the right hand side, and albeit, you know, he wasn't on there for long, but I thought he showed what he can do as Saka's backup. And then you've got Eze, and I love that pre-match presentation on the pitch. I mean, he just looked like the kid who, you know, had won the sort of the raffle and won the sort of the prize. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is what kind of football and signing for your boyhood, you know, club is about. He's shaking his head in absolute delight. I love it. It's really heartwarming stuff, and it's really terrific. And you know, I kind of think Saka is the kind of the dream ticket. He's a player that I absolutely love, but I think Arsenal fans, going to fall in love actually with Eze, because he's just smiles, great character, lovely personality, and then suddenly, much more deeper than that, Arsenal have a real depth. And basically, even if they miss 2 key players, arguably 3, with Havertz, Saka and Odegaard going to Liverpool next week, they now have a backup and a depth that was definitely missing last season.
That was the theme of Arteta's post-match press conference yesterday, that we've learnt from our rivals, you can't win the Premier League without having that depth. And it was put to him, you know, last year, if you'd had an injury to Saka, injury to Odegaard, the whole stadium would have been down. Arsenal fans would have been going, oh, it's over already. And he said, yeah, that's right, but it's different. You know, we've got this depth. This is exactly why we've made this recruitment. And he said there's no other way to win the Premier League than by having a squad like this.
There feels like a different vibe this year. And listen, I know we're 2 games in and they got Liverpool away next week, but when Liverpool have won the titles in recent years in the Klopp and slot, they've started really strong. They knew they had to because they were up against the great Man City team, and they put the foot to the pedal, went off straight away, got the confidence up, got the belief up. And I think with Arsenal as well, they know that people are saying, can you do it, can you do it? And it can go 2 ways. They can either bottle it and kind of shrivel with it, or they can use it to kind of energise them. And at the moment, it seems like they're kind of relishing that pressure, relishing that ability to prove people wrong. But it might all go out the window next week at Anfield. But still, they just feel different. They feel like they've got more belief and more confidence about themselves that they can finally win the title.
Just, you mentioned, Jonathan, that you were at the game yesterday. You've written the piece in the Sunday Times about Arsenal living up to the hype, but injuries spoil their day. And I quite like this bit where you've said, Arsenal have never been so high as under Arsene Wenger, but goodness, his misfortunes brought stinging lows. And here they all were, all the emotions for the Emirates Stadium on a very Wenger day.
It did feel